Just doing a little test here. Testy test. Test here with the test. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my top 12 favorite wrestlers of all time. Now, remember, this is my own opinion. If you guys have any problems with it, that's all right. Just remember, it's my opinion. Don't bash me or send me death threats like I've been sent before because I don't like Steph Curry. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's start it off quickly with 5 honorable mentions. My 5 honorable mentions for this list are Stone Cold Steve Austin. People will think, why do you not have Austin in your top 12 favorite of all time? Look, I like Austin. I like him. But there's just guys I like more. My second honorable mention, The Rock. Another one people will be saying, why do you have Rock in your top 12? Well, just because I like some people more than Rock. My third honorable mention is Dusty Rhodes, NWA legend and wrestling legend. Fourth honorable mention is Josh Alexander. Alexander is the only TNA guy on the list this year. And number 5 is Hollywood Hulk Hogan, specifically that Hulk Hogan, which is also NWO Hulk Hogan. So once again, if you guys didn't catch that, the 5 honorable mentions on this list are Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Dusty Rhodes, Josh Alexander, and Hollywood Hulk Hogan. But to start off with number 12, it is New Japan Pro Wrestling's Kazuchika Okada. I have Okada in my top 12 because he is one of my favorite Japanese wrestlers ever. I have him in my top 5. My other 2 you'll see on this list, but Okada is a great guy. He, in my opinion, has the best New Japan World Championship run of all time when he held it for over 700 days. A title reign that, in my opinion, is better than Roman Reigns's. Okada at one point was that big final boss, the guy you don't want to mess with, the guy that's you don't want to see one-on-one, and Okada's kind of lost that, but Okada is still so good as a wrestler. The only knock on him that I have is that part of his career, and he was in developmental tours with TNA and all that other stuff with different names. His gimmick was terrible, but great to see the Rainmaker, Mr. Okada, here at 12. Now we move on to number 11. Number 11 is Kane, aka Glenn Jacobs. Kane is at number. Oh, hold on here. Kane's at number 11 here. Kane, I almost want to put Kane at 10. Kane has always been a favorite of mine ever since he debuted. Well, ever since I first saw him, because I didn't start watching wrestling until 2009. But Kane is an amazing character. Has probably one of, if not the greatest debut in wrestling history when he debuted during the Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker Bad Blood 1997 or 1998. I think it's 97. So yeah, Kane's 1997 match, which was an amazing debut. I'm trying to remember what is when he actually debuted here. Yeah, it was mid 1997. Okay, it was. It was Bad Blood 97. There we go. So it was Bad Blood 1997 with the Hell in a Cell match between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. Such a fantastic matchup, one of my favorites of all time, mainly because of the debut of Kane. But Kane has always been a favorite. So scary. In my opinion, Kane is the scariest wrestler ever. That original old school Kane. The awesome old school red attire with the awesome organ music. And plus, Kane has, in my opinion, the greatest theme song in wrestling history. That one in '04 that he had with Slow Chemical. Amazing theme, but Kane here at number 11. And now we get into our top 10. At number 10, Sting. Sting has been around for a long time in the wrestling world, and he is number 10 on my list. I debated between him and Kane at 10 or 11, but I put Sting at 10 just because I think he's had the better career than Kane. But Sting is amazing. He's been wrestling for a long time. He's been a surfer, and he's been the Crow, and he's been a Joker and a mentor. It's so good to have to watch Sting every time. I mean, a 6-time WCW champion, and he had a great match with Ric Flair in his first ever match, like televised big time match, when him and Ric Flair fought at Clash of the Champions for that NWA slash WCW title. I remember watching that one for the first time. Such a fun one, but Sting I have at 10 just because of the gimmicks and because of the better career that he had over people like Kane and Okada. But I also like him more than guys like Stone Cold and Rock. I love the gimmick. I like it more than even Rock and Austin's type of thing. And Sting always has that presence that he's always doing me anywhere at any time, and that's what I always liked about him. And he was that anti guy, the guy that's always trying to fight the bad and step up for when he has to be. And staying here at number 10. Number 9 is the guy that I actually just talked about. Ric Flair at number 9. The Nature Boy, 2-time Hall of Famer, and the 16-time world champion, which is amazing, as he holds so many titles. He has 21. He's a 21-time champion, is what Flair likes to think about it, which is a lot. 41-year career, amazing career. I remember seeing all of his stuff in the 80s and 70s when he had that long hair and can wrestle so great. He had the look, he had the promos, he had the devastating finisher with the figure 4 leg lock. Such an amazing finisher that was back then. He isn't really a finisher anymore these days, but it was such an amazing move. And there's a reason why people consider him one of the greatest ever. And work anyone could turn anyone into a fantastic match. I mean, look at the classic Ric Flair matches. Matches with Sting. Matches against his own Four Horsemen guys. Matches against Shawn Michaels. Triple H. Hulk Hogan. He's had some fantastic matches in his career. His match against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 24 is one of my favorite matches of all time. I still remember that match to this day when I first saw it back in 2011. And it was an amazing, amazing match. But Ric Flair here at number 9. And you're thinking, who's ahead of someone like Ric Flair? Well, here, I'll show you. At number 8, Tatsuya Naito. One of 3 Japanese guys on the list. This is the second of 3 guys on the list. Naito is at number 8. There's only one more Japanese wrestler. Well, he's not really Japanese, but I mean like New Japan guy ahead of Naito. But Naito, I've always loved Tatsuya Naito. He was my favorite New Japan wrestler ever before a certain wrestler came around and dominated. And I'll talk about him when we get to him at number 6. But Tatsuya Naito, the leader of LIJ, I've been following his career for so much of a long time, since his time with No Limit. Won the G1 Climax twice. Has won the New Japan Cup. The leader of LIJ, a former the first ever IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, because he held both titles in one pay-per-view, which was Wrestle Kingdom, when he won the title when he was IWGP Intercontinental Champion. Even though he got attacked after the match by Kenta. Oh well. But Naito, every match. I mean, Naito has some of my favorite matches I've ever seen. Just go watch his matches against Okada, Naito. I mean, just watch his matches against Okada, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Zack Sabre Jr. Like, those are just naming 3 dudes. He's had other great matches. Jeff Cobb. His matches in World Tag League. There's been some amazing tag matches he's had. Him against Tatsuri Shibata. He's had some amazing matches in his career. Some really good 5-star classics. But here's Tatsuya Naito at number 8. All right, number 7 is a guy that many people probably have in their top 5. It's Eddie Guerrero, two-time Hall of Famer, one in AAA and one in WWE. So sad that this man's gone from our lives. I wish he was still alive today. If he was still alive today, Chris Benoit would also still be alive today, and he wouldn't have the thing that tarnished his career for the rest of his life. But Eddie Guerrero is such an amazing guy. I consider him to be the greatest Mexican-born wrestler in history, and the greatest like cruiserweight type of guy in history of wrestling. Eddie Guerrero having that lie, cheat, and steal mentality was amazing. Had the look, but either it was his gimmick or, well, not gimmick. Either if it was his long hair or short hair, he had the look, he had the tights, he had the awesome move set with that amazing frog splash and the lasso from El Paso. He also had the three Migos in his corner too, in the Dory special. Such a great move set for Eddie Guerrero, and this guy's had some amazing matches, AAA and WCW and WWE matches against Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar. His tag team with Chavo Guerrero against Benoit, Kurt Angle, and Edge and Rey Mysterio is definitely a match to look at. Uh, his match against Rey Mysterio at Halloween Havoc in WCW, probably one of, if not the greatest cruiserweight match in wrestling history. Such an amazing wrestler that Eddie Guerrero is, and a guy's career that no one will ever forget. And like I said, one of, if not the greatest cruiserweight in wrestling history and the greatest Mexican born wrestler in the history of wrestling. But that is number 7. Just missing out on the top 5. Last new like Japan guy on here. The Switchblade, Jay White. Jay White was a guy who, when I started watching him, I did not like him when he was a young lion. But when he started to turn into the Switchblade and the leader of Bullet Club is when I turned my love into Jay White. Jay White is a heel that I'll always remember. He cuts an amazing promo. His in ring work is excellent. He's had some fantastic matches, and he's the first and only IWGP Grand Slam champion in the history of the company, and he's also won the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship as well. He's had some fantastic matches in his career, matches against Okada, Naito, his G1 performance when he almost won the whole thing in 2019 and 2022. You have his match against Kenny Omega where he won the United States Championship and others. His Wrestle Kingdom match against Naito and against Naito and his one he had against Kota Ibushi. Great matches. And that right there's the former leader of Bullet Club, Jay White, at number 6. Currently, right now with AEW with Juice Robinson. Juice is not on this list. He's part of Bullet Club Gold. And another couple matches to recommend. Him, Juice, and the Guns against CM Punk, FTR, and Ricky Starks. Great match. And then their most recent match, Jay White and Juice Robinson against FTR. That match was amazing. Amazing match. All right, we are in the top 5. At number 5, Bret the Hitman Hart. Bret Hart is my dad's favorite wrestler of all time. I can see why. The excellence of execution. The greatest submission artist. Well, technical wrestler, really, in the history of wrestling. Bret the Hitman Hart. Such an amazing guy. And in my opinion, has the most dangerous submission hold in wrestling history. The Bret Hart sharpshooter. He could put the sharpshooter on the best out of any wrestler in the world and in wrestling history. Bret Hart, amazing talent, has some fantastic 5-star matches. like his steel cage match against his brother Owen at SummerSlam, his match against Owen Hart at WrestleMania 10. You have his match against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12, his ladder match against Shawn Michaels, the Montreal Screw Job, and his most famous match, the match against Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13. One of the greatest wrestling matches in the history of the business, and one of, if not the greatest, WrestleMania match of all time. In my opinion, it's not the greatest WrestleMania match ever. We'll get to that later. But Bret Hart and the Sharpshooter at number 5. And now we get to number 4. Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels definitely deserves to be on this top 5 list. Out of anyone in the top 5, or I should say in my top 12 of favorite wrestlers, he has the most matches in my top 15 favorite matches of all time, with his matches in the lights against The Undertaker, Ric Flair, Chris Jericho, those types of guys. Fantastic wrestler, has to and talk the talk and walk the walk, and he has beaten some amazing people, won great amount of accomplishments. There's a reason why he's a two-time Hall of Famer. For a reason, he's been there at DX. He's been there with himself and Diesel. And I remember how his upbringing was. Started out with the Rockers with Marty Jannetty, and Shawn Michaels has been a part of some of the greatest moments in wrestling history, putting Marty Jannetty through the barbershop window, being a part of Kane's debut, forming up the X with Triple H, Rick Rude, and China. And then his return after the back injury that he suffered at Royal Rumble, and then losing his world championship to Stone Cold at WrestleMania 14, which then he returned at SummerSlam 2002 to fight Triple H in a great match. Yeah, another one, his great matches with Triple H at SummerSlam, Bad Blood in the Hell in a Cell match. Shawn Michaels, number 4. And you're saying, who's a guy that could be ahead of Shawn Michaels? Well, I can show you. The Macho Man, Randy Savage at number 3. A guy, probably in my opinion, the greatest 80s wrestler of all time. The Macho Man, such charismatic, so much charismatic coming through him. It's like just looking at him, you can see the absolute charismatic and great talk ability coming through the Macho Man. In my opinion, Macho Man is the greatest promo taker or talker of all time. And that signature catchphrase of "Ooh yeah," such a great catchphrase. Part of those excellent Slim Jim commercial ads. So good. That signature flying elbow drop. And he had a tremendous WWE title reign for that lasted a whole year. And he's a part of one of, if not the greatest WrestleMania buildup of all time. When the Mega Powers exploded. Macho Man Randy Savage is the reason why he's up this size. Promos, his charismatic, his move set, those body slams, power drivers, elbows, a diving double axe handle, a hot shot over the ropes and catching the opponent's neck on the rope. His amazing matches he's had with Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Sting, Diamond Dallas Page. That's just to name a few. But Macho Man Randy Savage is coming in at number 3 on my list of my top 12 of all time favorite wrestlers. And now my top 2. At number 2, Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley is up this high, and you're saying to yourself, why is this guy? Marcus, why do you have Jon Moxley at number 2 and your favorite wrestlers list? Well, Jon Moxley, at one point in my life, he was a hero. He was my hero in middle school. Jon Moxley was the guy that back when he was Dean Ambrose basically taught me when I'm in high school to be myself a lot more. So I was a lot different than I am now when I was in high school. But you taught basically watching his character work. He basically told me to be myself. John Moxley has always been there for me, and I've always enjoyed watching his matches. His matches with guys like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. I was going to say Kane, but he hasn't had a great match with Kane. Tamato Ishii, Kenta, Kazuchika Okada in that six-man tag match. The match in AEW Forbidden Door where it was him and the Blackpool Combat Club and Shotama Umino against the Elite with Tamato Ishii and Eddie Kingston. The match is probably upcoming pretty soon where it's the Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite. Those matches don't mean saying. He's a Money in the Bank winner, and I still remember to this day when he became the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I still remember that at Money in the Bank 2016. Amazing. And he also has one of the longest reigns in United States Championship history. Within WWE, it's the longest reign with the title, but he didn't beat Rick Rude's or Lex Luger's record-setting reign with the championship. But John Moxley at number 2 on my favorite wrestlers of all time list. My favorite time with being a John Moxley fan was when he was in New Japan. I loved watching him in New Japan. Well, number 1 should be no one's surprise. Oh, never mind. The Undertaker. My opinion, the greatest wrestler of all time. The GOAT of wrestling, The Undertaker. The greatest character of all time. The scariest wrestler of all time. He the greatest career in wrestling history. Some of the greatest wrestling matches of all time. His matches against Shawn Michaels, the Hell in a Cell, the 2 WrestleMania matches. You have his match against his own brother Kane at WrestleMania 14. His matches against Triple H at WrestleMania 17, WrestleMania 27, and 28. His match against CM Punk, the whole streak itself. The Undertaker. Does it suck that he's retired today? Yes, because The Undertaker was a complete and utter legend. When he retired was kind of when I stopped watching WWE a lot. Even his American Badass gimmick was great too. Spirit Alive, his matches with Mankind that were amazing. Their Buried Alive match, their Barroom Brawl match, their Hell in a Cell match. Such amazing matches that this man's been a part of, and he's been a part of one of the greatest tag teams in WWE history, the Brothers of Destruction, with his brother Kane. I mean, The Undertaker, the greatest wrestler of all time, and and he's my favorite of all time. He even rocks one of the, if not the greatest finisher in wrestling history, the Tombstone Piledriver. But ladies and gentlemen, at number 1 on my all-time favorite wrestler list, The Undertaker. And ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed this video of my top 12 favorite all-time wrestlers. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack in the comments just for having some people placed over people and not having certain wrestlers in my top 12. But I know I'm going to take it completely fine. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Just going to quickly do something before I end the video, because I know you guys want to at least let me talk about it at some point, but I'm just going to talk about one quick thing before we end the video here. This movie, Oppenheimer. Make sure you guys go out and watch this movie. It is a movie that's going to change your life, I think. I've not seen it yet. It has not come out where I'm at yet. But in my opinion, this is a movie that could change people's lives, and it could be one of the all-time greatest movies in cinema history. Who knows what it'll be like when it comes out? All I know is I think it's going to be great. Cast, writing, cinematography is going to be great. The directing, score, and plus hardly any computer generated effects. Love it, love it, love it. And it's the first ever IMAX movie to have black and white scenes in it. Amazing. Amazing. Look at this cast. Look at the cast: Josh Peck, Callan Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., Florence, Casey Affleck. Yeah, the man who played Freddie Mercury. Such an amazing cast for this movie. And there's the guy that Cal Murphy plays. He's the main guy in this. And Gary Oldman. So, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully on July 21st or at some point while it's out in theaters, you put your money to see this movie. Because it's going to be a great one, but that's going to be the end of the video. And so, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed, and we will see you next time.